Hello, welcome back. So this is the Inner Edge podcast with Chris Jones. I am the host. So tonight's episode is a little bit different. So I wasn't actually planned. My guest has had to pull out at the last minute, but I thought rather than not doing anything, I thought I'd jump on. I just have a real conversation with you. A lot of people talk online about fitness, success, motivation, mindset, but not many people talk about honestly about what it's like trying to build a meaningful life whilst you're trying to balance work, stress, family, health, confidence, and trying to actually figure out what it is that you want. So tonight I thought I'd do something a little bit different. I'm going to interview myself, kind of, and answer some of the questions that I'd either normally get asked or I'd normally ask a guest about fitness, physio, purpose, leadership, burnout, building a business and becoming the person that you actually want to become. And if you're watching and you've got any questions, drop them in the comments, and I will will DM me them, and I'll answer them at a later date. So the first one, what originally got me into fitness and physiotherapy? I've always been into fitness, always been into sports, ever since I was little. Loved football, loved running, loved cycling. Always had a bike, was always out on it, loved climbing trees, all that sort of stuff. But what got me into physiotherapy is that I actually wanted to be a sports therapist, because I went out on work experience with a guy called John Walker. He was a sports therapist that was in my local leisure centre. He worked at the villa as a physiotherapist at a point as well. So he had a massive impact on me for a week. So anybody that knows me knows that I didn't really try at school. I sort of left when I was in sort of year 9-ish. Lots of reasons behind that, but wasn't very academic. Didn't hated school, hated secondary school, hated the people at secondary school, and hated the teachers. Just did not enjoy it. But this, when I went out, had to go out for work experience, I hadn't organised anything. One of the teachers had organised sports therapy experience for me for a week with John Walker. So went out with him. He was organising a local marathon. Got me doing loads of stuff. I shadowed him when he was doing his massage and his injury clinics and all of that sort of stuff, and then seeing like what it was like for him to organise this massive marathon. I spent like quite a few evenings with him going out and sort of plotting the route with him and his mates. Met loads of lovely people doing that, and I was like, I got to the end of the week and I was like, that's what I want to do. I'm going to go into doing that. Obviously really bad results at school. I think I only left with 2 C's in art and textiles, and that was because that was at the time where your mum could do your coursework. Well, she couldn't. I took it home and then my mum did my coursework. So I couldn't get into anything. Couldn't get into sports therapy or anything like that. But then people at Solihull College let me in for some reason. So I managed to qualify in sports therapy. Couldn't get a job after I'd qualified in that. My son come around, and then I needed a job. So I ended up working in the kitchen, all sorts. Didn't really do anything with the sports therapy, but then seen a physio assistant job at my local hospital, Heartlands. Managed to somehow get a job at Heartlands as a physio assistant, as a band 2, and then worked my way up, and that was it. That was me. I was hooked, loved it, absolutely loved helping people and making a difference, and the rehab side of things. And my aim was to be a physiotherapist, and I managed to achieve that. Managed to go back to university at Coventry, and achieve what my goal was, to become a physiotherapist. And here we are, a long time afterwards. But in terms of my fitness, I've always been into lifting weights and cycling, running, climbing, you name it. I love doing all of that. Just not competitively, because I'm shit at all of the sports that I try, but I'm a trier, and that's all that counts. Right, next question is, do I feel connected to why I started? No, is the short answer. No, I don't. When I first started, I wanted to help people. I wanted to be a physiotherapist. I wanted to rehab people and spend time with those people. I now don't want to rehab people. It's a huge job to be a physiotherapist. You have to emotionally invest a lot when you're looking after people, and there's a lot of responsibility around your head in terms of their health. When I transitioned from being a clinician into a leader, I knew it was sort of time for me to not want to be face to face with patients anymore. I wanted to hand over my skills and my what I'd learned to other people, because that's part of the job that I started to really enjoy, was to sort of develop people and to help develop other clinicians, but also to help develop services. So that connection had started to shift in terms of what I wanted from the role. I'd also had health issues of my own, which meant that my identity of being a physiotherapist and being a fit individual were questioned quite a lot. And again, when I transitioned from being a clinician into a leader within the NHS, my identity was sort of tied to being a physiotherapist, and then I sort of lost that identity. So those sort of things happened around the same sort of time, and then I sort of got burnt out, because what happens is you get to the top of you go to university, you learn how to be a physio, and then you learn all of these skills. You get to the top of that, and then by default people think that you can just lead, and you get a 2-day course or so within leadership with the NHS, and then you sort of just away you go sort of thing. But there's so much more learning to it around that. There's so much learning around people management and processes and HR and things that you don't necessarily realise that you need training in until you're in the job. So there was a lot of on-the-job learning that impacted on me sort of getting to a point of burnout, and I got to a point where I was like, I don't even know whether this is the right path for me, especially around sort of NHS frustrations and just a feeling undervalued from from a whole host of things really. I don't think that the expectations I think the expectations in the NHS are huge, from the public, from managers, from politicians, from I think the expectations far outweigh what it can actually deliver, and some of the things that I think are needed aren't actually being delivered by the NHS. I think there's a lot of preventative stuff that needs to happen first that's not going on, and you can see that now with some of like the community model that's going on, where sort of personal trainers, more holistic therapies are stepping into what needs some of the preventative work that needs to go on, and that's the sort of space where I'm at now, is that actually, because I burnt out, because I've had an injury that affected how I seen myself, I want to start helping those people. I want to start helping men that are over sort of 30, 40 in terms of considering if they're feeling stuck, why are they feeling stuck? Is it a career transition? Is it do they need support around health and fitness, managing that? Because when I turned 30, 40, that was one of the things that I wished was there for me, is that actually what is it that I needed, and I should have put that in place before I had these things happen to me, and get to a point where I've just felt stuck with life, but also with my career and where that was going. I still want to help people. I still want to make a difference. It's just not how it was when I first started physiotherapy. I still want to evolve. I've qualified in personal training. I've qualified in, or I'm doing my apprentice professional coaching degree. And I still want to help people. I just want to do it in a different way. I still want to help develop people. Just what that looks like is different. Next question. Okay. What's the biggest mistake people make when trying to get fit? Okay. Going too hard to start with, I think, is one of the biggest mistakes that they make. They think that more is more, when actually that's not the case. Starting smaller than you think is probably the best place to start. So start small and then build up. Or thinking that motivation is going to get you through it. You can have motivation to do something, and having a picture of your body how it is at the moment and thinking that's going to get you through it, but that's not necessarily the case. What actually gets you through it is a structure and habits. So if you haven't watched the last episode, Jordan was talking about habit stacking and falling back on the level of your training. So if you're doing something repeatedly for a longer period, you'll fall back to that level. But you need to get to a point where you have got those habits, and that only comes by making sure that you're doing small bits daily or small bits every other day, and then building it up from there. So rehabilitation is doing a little bit more every day, and that's the same as fitness. Just do a little bit more every session. Yeah, chasing perfection is probably the next thing I'd say. There's no such thing as perfect. There's no such thing as a perfect workout or a perfect routine, or a perfect exercise or perfect posture when you're doing that exercise. The key is just to get it done. Make sure that you're turning up for those sessions, however that session looks like. You won't have it won't always be perfect. You won't always want to do it, but as long as it's done and it's in the bank, that's all that matters. And I think this is probably something that turns up for me with people that I talk to around fitness and things, is that they struggle with the identity of living a healthier life. So they don't accept the identity change. They don't accept that, or don't say out loud that, "Oh, I'm not a runner," or I don't do weights," or I don't go walking. And actually, when you start doing those things, you need to start accepting being that identity. Or, I am a walker. I am a runner. Because it's easier for you to do it because you identify with doing that thing. So whatever it is, whatever activity it is, it's always a nice place to come from if you're starting to accept it. Start saying it in your head, but also start saying it to yourself, and being kinder to yourself around it, because then you start to accept that identity. What's something about the fitness industry? What's something the fitness industry gets completely wrong? There's loads. There's loads. So extremes. They go to extremes. And it doesn't. You don't need to be extreme with fitness. Being balanced with fitness is just perfectly fine. You don't need to do 6 workouts out of 7 days. You don't need to these extreme diets. You just don't need to do it. Like, there's a reason why it's called a balanced diet. There's a reason why you don't have to go to one extreme or the other. Thinking that there's quick fixes and promoting all of the quick fixes, because you don't happen that way. I mean, let's take GLP-1s for example. People are going to a quick fix because they want to lose weight. It's got great benefits for a lot of people. I think it's a game changer for people that have got obesity, right? So, but people, instead of doing the people that can exercise and could control their diets are tending not to do that because they want the quick fix of the Mounjaro jab. But what happens is they have these jabs, and there's now evidence to say that actually once you come off the jabs, you put the weight back on straight away because they haven't done any of the other work around their lifestyle. So those quick fixes aren't helping you to maintain that lifestyle or that appearance that you want. And that happens with lots and lots of things within the fitness industry, because they're promoting this quick fix, but actually when you work on the longer term fixes, that has the most sustainability behind it, but it has also the most sort of best bang for buck if you work on the longer term fixes. Again, the other thing that it gets completely wrong is sort of fake lifestyles, because Instagram, social media, all of those sort of influencers, they promote a fake lifestyle and promote fake things, and then that just puts a lot of sort of burden on the normal person because they think that they need to be living to that when actually they don't. But yeah, there's lots that the fitness industry gets completely wrong. I would say maybe the extremes is probably the extremes and the quick fixes is probably the ones that I would pick out. I work in healthcare leadership. What's the hardest part about leading people? The responsibility. The responsibility first and foremost, I think, because have to show up. Even when you don't want to show up, you have to show up. And there may be things within the leadership team or leadership decisions that are going on that you don't necessarily agree with, but have to then understand the reasons for the choices and then relay that to your team. There's a development around you sort of need to have a lot of empathy and understanding for a range of people and a range of scenarios that challenges your values. And I'm not a confrontational person, but you have to confront certain things. So one of those, when you're leading people, to the ability to be able to confront an issue in a respectful, empathetic way is a challenge. And it's not something that you can learn in a book. It's not something that you can learn in a course. It's something that you have to learn through self-awareness and through practice, and possibly mentoring. Like I had a couple of people that I leaned on when I was first in a leadership role that sort of taught me techniques around managing those situations. What have you learned? Confidence comes after action, I would say. So do the thing that you're scared of, do the thing, and then you will start to get confident in it. Podcasts, shitting myself about my first podcast because I thought, it's going to go viral and I'm going to be known across the internet. And what about if I say the wrong thing? I'm going to get cancelled or lose my job. Posted it, no views, nothing happened. It was just all in my mind. But the more that I've done, you will be rubbish at whatever you start, whatever you do. Just be willing to be shit at it. But the more that you do it, the more confident you become with it. It's the same with the gym. If you get in the gym and you don't know about the gym, the more times that you turn up to that gym, the easier that's going to become, and the more confident you will become with the equipment, with the environment. So whatever it is that you feel unconfident with, just start it, do it. Confidence will come. You never feel ready. You will never ever feel ready. I didn't feel ready doing the podcast. I didn't feel ready launching an Instagram page, doing that sort of stuff. You will never feel ready. You just have to do it. But as I said, doing it repeatedly will create a little bit of certainty for you, and you will have something to look back on and reflect on and be like, actually, yeah, like, I'm glad I started. Right. What advice would I give someone feeling stuck in life right now? I think I'm going to change that one. No, look, okay. What advice would I give to someone feeling stuck in life right now? Okay, I would go back to confidence thing. Just move first. Just act. Whatever it is that you're feeling stuck in, figure out what your next action is and do that, because that will give you a little bit of confidence around where it is that you're headed. When I was unsure around my career and where that was going, I reached out to a few people to have a little look at like their jobs and things, and that immediately sort of started to give me a little bit more confidence around where it was that I wanted to go. And then the next step was I actually mind mapped my paths, but doing those two things then give me a little bit of momentum to move forward with things, because I was like, actually I feel a little bit more confident, feel a little bit more sure about this, so I can start to move forward in a more positive way. And it helps your mental health as well, because if you feel stuck, it's really challenging to do other things because you're just stuck on that thing. But once I'd got a little bit of momentum around that, I then looked at it sort of helped my mental health, because I was like, actually I know maybe I don't know where I'm going or what I'm doing, but actually I know that I can do stuff because I'm doing it. And I think changing, like I say, I went and had a look at like other people's jobs and stuff, and I changed some of my habits around some of the environments that I was going into, because I knew there was certain environments that just felt so heavy that I was like I was coming home and it just felt claustrophobic. So I then started to throw things out, move things, and if you've got a cluttered mind, you start to get a cluttered environment. But if you can unclutter your environment, you start to unclutter your head. So I started to change things around me. I started to have certain environments for certain things. So yeah, changing my environment, action, because that leads to then momentum, and sort of accepting that I might fall flat on my face. Accepting being a beginner, accepting like I'm 42 but I've got all of this experience behind me, but actually I was doing things that I hadn't done before. I'd never done coaching before. I'd never I'd gone out to a couple of my mates' jobs and stuff, and I'd never done that before, but it gave me the opportunity to ask a load of questions, so I wasn't sort of waiting for things to be certain. I was just doing things and then accepting that it might be a failure, but that's okay because I'm learning. So yeah, say move. Yeah, that's what I'd say if somebody was feeling stuck right now. Right, quick fire. What does success look like to me now? Being able to spend time with my family, being able to have some freedom in my own life, having stability, and yeah, being able to visit the seaside and be able to walk by the sea. That's what success looks like to me. What's one uncomfortable truth people need to hear? Oh, that's a hard one. Uh, it's not quick fire, this is it? Jeez. Right, so from a fitness perspective, I think it's you don't need to be extreme. You don't need to be extreme. You can be balanced and still live a healthy, fit life. One thing you wish more men took more seriously earlier in life: mental health. I really wish that men would take mental health more seriously and opening up more earlier in life, and not waiting into their 30s, 40s, or until something drastic happens. Start talking, start having a conversation around your mental health and what the pressures are. One exercise I secretly hate: split leg split leg squats, split leg lunges. They're fucking disgusting. Don't secretly hate it. Absolutely hate it. What's your go-to takeaway order? Oh man, pizza man. Meat feast pizza. If you weren't in your current profession, what would you be doing? That's a hard one because I always said carpentry, right? And then I did it for half a day with my mate, and I absolutely hated it. So I think I'd be I, an actor, a presenter, or a worst fitness trend I've ever seen. Um, it's got to be them stupid detoxes. I know it. Yeah. What was that about? Like, I'm sure people are still going on a detox as well. Like, you can't detox. Stop doing it. Alright, so that's the end of the quickfire questions. If you've watched today, I appreciate everybody who's watched it and who's sent me questions. This was unplanned, but honestly, these kind of conversations are probably the most important ones. I think a lot of people are trying to improve their health, fitness, confidence, career, mindset and life, but they feel like they're doing it alone, and honestly you're not. I've been in the position where you are now, and my goal with this channel is to create an honest conversation around growth, health, purpose, and becoming a better version of who you are, because that's what we're all striving for, really. And I don't want to pretend that everything's perfect, because it's not, and that's the reason why I hardly edit this shit, because actually it's not. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just need to get on and do it. So, if tonight has resonated with you, if any of the conversation in this has resonated with you, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. There's episodes out on Sundays at 7 o'clock. Share the stream with whoever you think that is going to benefit from it, and drop me a comment, either with a question or whatever your thoughts are, because it genuinely helps my channel to grow and me to grow. So if there's a topic or a guest that you would like me to bring on in future, let me know. Put it in the comments, drop me a DM, and thanks. I'll see you next week, when hopefully I'll have another guest for you.